thank you. How about
Oh,
you?
very good, very good, very good, very good,
Mm.
very good. Bina's connection dropped, so Bina connection dropped.
Oh, I love the castle today.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah,
Yeah,
love it.
brilliant, brilliant. Yeah, and you see, you have to go through a maze to get to the castle.
Oh, and you got a nice shirt on. Yeah,
Thank you. Yes, yes,
love
yes,
it.
yes. Yeah, got some. I got some new shirts. Just having some fun with the new shirt. So yeah, yeah, it's good.
Wonderful. Love
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. All right, all right. Abina should be back any second now. I don't know what happened there, or if I can. And sometimes the connection drops there where she is, so it's not very stable always. So, all right, no worries, no worries. You've been good, I'm assuming. Yeah, yeah.
I have been, yes. Yes, it's been a good few days with my kids, and I'm going home tomorrow back to Arizona.
Oh, you are coming back to Arizona?
Well, yes.
Okay.
I mean,
Very cool.
this was a scheduled visit, so if I'm moving back, then I need to go back and get all the rest of my stuff and make real plans.
Ah.
So
Oh,
I
so you're
came
coming
to
back here
visit,
to make real plans? Is that what you're saying?
basically, yeah.
Very good. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Very good. Very good. And do you have any idea, or just gonna see as it comes?
Well, I do have an idea.
Oh,
Yeah,
very exciting.
right. It is exciting. It's just a lot, and
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm a little overwhelmed with it right now, but
Yeah.
it's good.
Yeah. How long are you still there? You said you're coming when? Friday?
Tomorrow,
Oh, tomorrow. Okay. Oh, that's
yeah,
Thursday. All right. Cool. Cool. Oh,
Thursday. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, cool. You got to take things as they come. That's it. So, what can you do, right?
Right.
Nothing else we can do.
Yeah, yeah, I'm doing my best. I'm figuring it
Very
out. I'm going with the flow. Yeah, staying open. Yeah.
excellent.
How
Excellent.
about you? How are you? How are
Same
things
thing.
over
Same
there?
thing. Just busy doing stuff, making courses, working with people. So, doing Zooms. So, yeah, yeah. It's very good. Very busy. Very busy. Very busy, which is good.
Okay.
Which is
Everything's
good.
okay at
Oh,
Justin's?
oh, yes. I haven't seen him for a little while. He came the other day, brought some food, but yeah, he seems very good. I don't. No news is good news. That's the thing. So yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All
That dog
right.
needs a home, though.
Uh-huh. I
That
heard.
that dog needs a home. I mean, yes, yes.
Yes.
It's not. It doesn't get the attention and appropriate things that it needs. So yeah, that dog needs a home. That's for sure. So
I
hopefully,
thought that
come back
day
here and you
one.
yeah or know of somebody who's looking for a dog. Who willing to take it in. So. She's
Oh,
getting she's
well,
getting
let me.
worse. She's getting more aggressive, and so she needs a proper
Okay.
home. Yeah, it's not right for her. Yeah. So anyway, hopefully, I
Is Justin okay with that? Did he
I don't
say that?
know. He said one time the dog was gonna go live with his girlfriend. I don't know. Some who was gonna move here. I don't know. That's some. So I don't know who that was or what he was talking about, but it was a
Mm.
while back. So I don't know. I don't know. I thought too. That they could maybe make a space for the dog, up there above where the terrace is, where they have the umbrellas.
Oh, right.
There's that kind of, wild space there, and it's fenced
Mm-hmm.
as well. And you can put a kennel in there, clear some of the bush, and she's got that space to, it's quite a lot of space up there. She could live up there, just make a nice kennel for her. So there you go.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, yeah.
Gets
Yeah.
very cold in the winter, though. But
Yeah,
yeah,
even
that's a
so,
good
I mean,
idea.
you can have kennels with flap doors in them, and that are insulated, and all sorts of stuff. So yeah,
True. Yeah, she's very aggressive, that dog.
she's gotten worse, much worse. Yeah, I mean,
Mm.
I always had a more or less of a sort of a truce with her, and she would sort of tolerate me.
Mm.
She'd growl and bark at me, but at least I could go past her. But I wanted to go look in the basement, where she's mostly, to see if there was standing water for mosquitoes because they freaking will eat me up down here. So,
Oh no.
oh yes, the little ones, that you can't see. And
Oh,
so I
that's
wanted to go check if there's standing water there because I know there was before. There where the sump pump is. and where they could be breeding, but she wouldn't let me in. I couldn't, luckily I closed the door in time, and I tried before. You could kind of hold something in between, like a jacket or a bag with stuff, and she would back
Oh,
off from that. She wouldn't even do that, so I couldn't go in there. So anyway.
wow. She would growl at you or try to bite you?
Oh yeah, she just was going for it, so she didn't want to let,
Wow.
she kind of stood there, but I couldn't go in to get past her. So yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I heard she bit another dog real bad.
Oh, interesting. Oh, I think
Hmm.
yeah, I think, yeah, so that's interesting, because there was somebody here from like animal control, so
Okay.
yeah, but
Well, I
that,
hope he figures that out.
yeah, yeah,
It'll be a real costly mistake if he
yeah,
doesn't.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
Anyway, so but again, there is a solution, I guess, but still, it's not so much where she is. It's just that, when they go and do the stuff on the property, they don't. I don't know if they always take her with or not, but it just seems that with the way things are and what they're doing, she's not a dog that can be constantly with. She needs a space, like somebody who's got a big property and other dogs, and they're there, and the dog can be
Right.
unsupervised. This dog is very neurotic too. It needs a person. It's not really like most dogs can kind of be by themselves. She can't really.
Right.
Yeah, I
All
mean,
right. Justin's on the move all the time. He doesn't have time for her.
she's
Yeah.
not getting appropriate attention, since she's she
No.
barks at everything, she whines all the time. She's unhappy. The dog's very miserable, so I'm making her worse, making her more aggressive. So probably she's getting eaten up by the mosquitoes too. So anyway, so if you know somebody who can take the dog, that'd be great. That'd be great.
Uh, well,
Yeah.
I know somebody who loves dogs, but I wouldn't want to have him take an aggressive dog because he goes down to the river all the time with
Mm.
his own dog, and um, you know, I don't know if she could be around other dogs, if she might attack other people.
Yeah, it depends on who she's with the people, and if she's in a situation where she's getting kind of love and nurturing, then likely she would chill down a bit. I mean, it's just the
Yeah.
situation is making her that. So
Hmm.
yeah, yeah.
I'll think about it for sure. I do know that Justin did tell me that his girlfriend is coming to live there in Cottonwood, and his mom bought a house for her. So it sounds like maybe that was what he was talking about, is the dog could go live with them.
With who? Say again, sorry.
His girlfriend?
Right. That's what he said to me. So I don't know. I don't know how that arrangement is. I don't know the details, but she was gonna come here apparently.
That's what I was told last week by Justin. So maybe that'll work out.
Yeah, let's hope so. Let's hope so. Let's hope so. Let's hope so.
Yeah.
All right. Where are we at? Where are we at? Where are we at?
Well, I did the Dictionary of Power, Module 3, Session 3. And I know we didn't quite go over all my questions, takeaways from last session. So
Let's
uh,
carry on where we left off.
we could do that. And then this session, the Dictionary of Power, the task was to build the Dictionary of Power. And I kind of got to the point where I wanted to get your definitions so that I could write them
Right.
down.
Right. Okay.
Because I know that you
We'll
have
do them
specific,
jointly together. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that
So
would
the
be
idea
great.
was to do as much as you can, and then we fill it in. Sure. Sure. Sure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I just know that you have specific
Yeah, on
definitions for
some of
each
them,
of
but
these.
they open ended, and so we keep working on them and keep adding to them. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So
Okay. So
let's where were we last time?
last time we were on Module 3, Session 2, Exemplification of Being.
Yeah.
And Um, um, Boy, I don't like any of these questions today.
Oh yeah. Your answers or the questions?
My questions.
Oh, your questions.
Yeah.
Ah, right, right. Wow, really? That's very interesting. Wow, wow, wow. That's pretty
Yeah, I
fascinating.
think I was in a mood, I think, when I wrote these.
Ah, okay. All right. Well, then just go through them and see if there's any that you still want to ask or not. But that's good. That's good. That's good that you shifted out of that. It's fantastic.
Mm,
That's very cool.
I'm not even understanding these questions.
Wow, fantastic, fantastic. That means there's movement. That means there's movement and change. That's most excellent. That's most excellent.
What are examples of emotional ego inappropriate behaviors that are not impeccable?
What are examples of
What would be some examples of behaviors that are not impeccable, like emotional or egoic or inappropriate?
and what did you say?
Um, I didn't say these are. I
Oh,
just wrote down a bunch of questions,
oh,
and
oh, okay. Can but now if you ask that question of yourself, what would you say?
I think uh, reactional things like anger,
Yeah,
um,
yeah, yeah.
or
Basically,
being,
any behavior you can't really justify. Right now, it depends on the anger. You know, if somebody's trying to attack your kids, well, anger can be very useful to getting rid of them. Or
okay,
some jerk guy that's overstepping his boundaries and he's putting his hands all over you, and you keep telling him no, 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 and at some point you get really angry and let him have it. That could be appropriate, right? That's justified, yeah,
true
because there's nothing else that's going to work. So it's behavior you can't justify.
behavior you can't justify.
Right, that doesn't sit with your conscience. That doesn't bother your conscience to get annoyed with that jerk guy, right? And get angry with him. Yes?
Well, I mean, I have been in that situation,
Right.
and sometimes I don't react angry and outburst the way that I probably should.
Exactly. So there's the problem, the reverse. So anything, any emotion, any attitude, any mindset, any behavior, any idea, all of them, it's not good or bad within themselves. It's how we use it. Always. There are times when anger is appropriate and times when not. Just know the difference. And so this is what our point of impeccability is that we are looking to use our energy to best effect. So you not getting angry there was a poor usage of your energy because it was bothersome and tiresome, and it by implication it enabled the guy and condoned it. You became complicit to his behavior by not objecting or strenuously, etc., etc. So some guys have jerk ideas, like, oh well, they're saying no but they mean yes, and nonsense like this. So
Mm-hmm.
you got to really just say no. and I mean, be very clear that you mean it, kind of move the
Mm-hmm.
hand and stuff like that. And just appeal to them directly. Say, come on, I'm not saying no, and I mean yes. I don't want this. Thank you. So.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear you say that. I've noticed lately I've been very passive and having a difficult time even forming opinions.
Wow, wow,
Hmm.
wow, interesting. Well, if you starting to look, when we go through life change like you are, right? This is a big deal. So we have to be careful. And one thing we do want is to say, pretty much everything that I've been doing and what I know before now is not working for me, so I got to throw it all out. Okay? But that doesn't mean that you have to throw out self-trust. Just because what you knew before isn't working, it doesn't mean that you can't trust yourself and act on in some way with some self-trust. Say, um, 1 second, I need to. Venus having trouble here. I need to send her the link here. Alright. Okay. So, don't throw out self trust, which means that just because I don't know specific things doesn't mean that I can't learn. Right. So, this is the problem for most people. They put their trust in information, not ability. Big difference, right?
Okay.
There she is. Hello, Vina. Hello, Vina. And we can see your picture. Brilliant. Excellent. Very good. All right. So you see the difference, though, right? We're talking about self-trust, Vina. And when we shift in a life change, like Elizabeth is undergoing, we have to throw out all of our previous stuff because yes, some of it worked, but most of it didn't. So we don't know what worked and what didn't. So we throw it all out, and then if we need to, we put it back one by one. But now we're putting it back with discernment, and we say, is this good? Yeah, okay, I'll keep it now, and the rest stays. So, but we don't want to be thrown out our self-trust. And we have to say that I can learn. My trust is in my ability to learn. My trust is in my goodness. My trust is in my intent to goodness. Because you have a deep intent to goodness, yes?
Yes.
All right, well, trust that. So that will help you to learn and to grow. And say, that's all I need to do is just learn and grow. That's it. And then trust your sense of appropriateness also. In that case with the guys, it's inappropriate. Trust your sense of inappropriateness and your sense of appropriateness, and just behave accordingly. So as we learn, we grow, we put new things in, we get new skills, we get new abilities, and those are abilities. They aren't information. We don't want to be remembering stuff. We want to know stuff, like your understanding of what is appropriate. Yes, we are going to elaborate on that. But in general, you pretty much are pretty clear when things are inappropriate, like with your kids, right? Or
Well,
with
I
guys,
I
right?
would think
So
so.
exactly. So it's pretty clear. It's pretty obvious. So we have innate abilities. They just kind of get clouded over because we think we need to do this, and we're trying to remember a zillion things. Remembering is a very poor mechanism for living. Doesn't really
Right.
work because we can't remember too many things. You can remember a few things only. So we need that innate ability where it's automatically coming up from inside us. So that's what I said. Don't trust your information. Trust your abilities. Trust your character. Do you have good character?
I think so.
Exactly. So trust it. End of story.
The thing is I get caught up in what other people are experiencing, um,
Right. Right.
and I just am aware of where they're coming from, and I have
Right.
compassion. I have too much
Right.
compassion
Right.
for them.
Okay. So this is a
So
problem. Yeah.
yeah, it is a problem because my reaction then is too
Right.
slow.
Right. Right. So let's address that particular problem. So let's shift to your dictionary of power. So we're going to give some entries for your dictionary of power. If you don't already have this entry, um, yeah.
Okay. Which one?
Okay. Inappropriate application of goodness. So you want it all hyphenated, and then inappropriate and application and goodness capitalized. It's one of our compound conceptions. Inappropriate application of goodness.
Okay. That's good. Okay.
Right. And that's the problem, right? So when you look at this compassion, understand it for what it is. Yes, it is a good quality to have, but so often you can inappropriately apply your compassion. Yes. When
Apparently.
yeah, when you get sucked in too much, you are living other people's problems. You are trying to help when it's not really your business to help, and so on and so forth. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So just be aware of this, that helping is a presumption.
Or being tolerant of behaviors that you don't want to be tolerant of.
Yeah, exactly. Because you're trying so hard to be nice that you can't tell the guy to get lost, because you don't want to hurt his feelings. He's been inappropriate, for heaven's sake. He doesn't care about your feelings, you know. So you can't avoid this idea that we can't be, do things that hurt people. Besides which, he's so thick-skinned, it's not going to bother him. He's heard it thousands of times. At least he knows where he stands. So it's not an issue. Besides which, if somebody is doing something that's completely inappropriate, they've taken their feelings, they've taken themselves out of the equation for dealing with them in a normal, nice way. You've overstepped, so you don't get that treatment anymore, right? Same thing when that murderer comes into your house looking to kill your kids, all bets are off, right?
Right.
You're not going to be nice to the murderer, and I mean, if he's trying to attack your kids and you have a shotgun, you're going to blow his head off. Yes.
I guess, yeah,
I would hope
probably.
so. If not, then your kids are going to get killed. I'm just saying, the life isn't always so where we can always be nice. Sometimes we have to be good, which isn't always nice, right? So if you have to choose for your kids, like if the universe came to you and said, all right, Elizabeth, you got to choose. What do you want for your kids? What's nice for them or what's good for them?
Hmm.
What do you choose?
What's good for them?
Of course, you can't choose what's nice
Yeah.
for them. So this is life, and we have to understand this now. If we get ahead of learning and we choose to learn and we learn deliberately, then good and nice start to come together. They become one and the same thing. The universe
If
tends to
if we
give,
do what?
if we get ahead of the learning game, right? If you get behind, what happens? What happens when your kids get behind in learning and they haven't listened to you when you told them nicely? You tell them
Bad
not so
things happen.
nicely, right? And when you tell them not so nicely and you say it again and again, and eventually they get a smack upside the head, or some equivalent of that, right?
Uh-huh.
Well, the universe works on the same similar system. If you keep repeating your mistakes, it's going to keep amping it up and making it put more pressure on you to learn. But this is learning kind of after the fact, right? Whereas if you decide, say, hey, you know what, universe, you don't need to force me to learn. I like learning. I want to learn. I'm keen to learn, right? And we start seeing all of life as being all about learning. This is it, the whole deal. Life is learning, the acquisition, the development, and the enhancement of awareness. This is what it's all about. So when you get on board on that train, now you'll start to see the universe brings you all these magical lessons. If you see them as lessons, like that inappropriate guys, oh, what a magical lesson for me to, stand up for myself and not to be inappropriately good. Oh, fantastic. And you do what you need to do. It might be uncomfortable and awkward at first, but once you do it, oh, that wasn't so bad. Okay, next time, like, no problem. Say, hey, get lost, you know. And now you start to learn your lessons. The more you do this, the nicer the lessons become because you've learned the unpleasant ones already. See? And the universe says, oh, brilliant, I can find a better way for you to do this. So it's maybe in a different way that people are inappropriate, in a more gentle, not such a physical or awkward, uncomfortable way. Same thing. You still need to say this, but it's a lot smoother. It's a lot nicer. So nice and good can go together if we are deliberately eager to learn and we are making that effort and we do learn when the lessons come and we take them and we apply them. Very powerful. Very, 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 very powerful. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. That helps. What about forming opinions
Right.
in areas where I can see all sides?
Yeah, yeah. Well, if you can stay away from opinions, that's the bottom line. Because
Okay.
they come and they go, and opinions are beliefs, right? They're beliefs. An opinion is a belief, yes.
Yes. Well,
All
okay,
right.
as an example, I was downtown Portland protests, I
Yeah,
can
yeah.
see the two different extremes, and I'm somewhere in the middle, and it felt
Right,
kind of disorienting to not have a
right.
strong opinion,
Yeah.
even though
Now there's a belief for you
what?
that it feels disorienting to not have a strong opinion. Says who you have to have a strong opinion? Whose belief is that? Where does that come
Well,
from?
I don't know. I felt like the only person there that
Right. So
was
what?
more neutral.
Exactly. And so what? Don't fall into that trap of just because everybody's doing it, it must be right.
You don't think there's anything wrong with that, even in a
Hell
situation
no, I
like
think it's fantastic that you had the independence of being to be able to have your own opinion. So what? You got a bunch of sheep on one side and a bunch of sheep on the other side, and they can't see the that there is more going on than just their particular opinion. They aren't willing to step aside. They weren't willing to zoom out. So it's fantastic that you had that independence of being to be able to see it. Just because your opinion is different doesn't make it anything better or worse than anybody else's. You are seeing more sides. It's fantastic. Go, Elizabeth.
okay.
Go,
Oh,
Elizabeth.
well,
So I want to
thank
ask you that
you.
question again. If everybody does it or believes it, does that make it right?
Well, of course not.
Exactly, exactly. That's the problem with superstitions, right? Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. So, in other words, popularity is not a guarantee of sensibility.
Oh, I gotta write that down.
Yeah, yeah. It's a mistake a lot of people make. A lot of people make this mistake. They're so bothered and worried that if they are different, that somehow they're wrong. So, but that doesn't make any sense, right?
No, and I don't like that either. I've just, I like to have conversations, and it seems like a lot of people can come up with their own ideas real easily off the top of
Yeah,
their heads.
yeah.
They feel very strongly about it, whereas I, sometimes get kind of stuck in thinking about all the different sides, and it's hard for me
Right, but
sometimes.
but but you saying stuck. This is what everyone needs to do. The fact that they have these strongs makes them opinionated. Now, you look up opinionated in the dictionary, it's not a positive term. It's
True.
an unflattering term to be opinionated. Yeah, yeah. So, you are making attention to pay attention and be discerning and have overview perspective. Um, it's just, especially in that protest environment, be aware that you're going to be an exception. That's why
Okay.
the people are there, is because they are opinionated. Doesn't matter on which side of the equation they're going on to, the fact that they're opinionated. So, excess tends to lead to excess. I always used to say excess breeds excess because of exactly this. People are extreme and they don't look at the overall picture. And then that extreme leads to other people being extreme, and then things swing from one side to the other. And then, okay, eventually they sort of find a balance. But it would have been a lot better if they just looked at both sides, be discerning, be overview. You're in a minority, so just be aware of that, and pick who you choose to interact with and discuss with. There are few people, sadly, in my experience, that are able to look at matters like politics or religion in a calm way and see all sides, and understand the moreness of it and so on. And really have an actual discussion that's a collaboration rather than a battle. So what you can do is a very very simple practice here: unhook from agree and disagree. Throw them away completely and utterly.
How does that not make me useless in conversation?
Because what are you going to replace it with?
What? I don't know.
Understanding. That's it. Focus on understanding. You can have a huge, fantastic discussion with anybody. from any side, from any position, from any extreme. All you're doing is you're focusing on understanding. I want to understand your position. Oh, what were you saying again? Okay, let me see if I understand this correctly. And you repeat back, and so on. You really get to understand. Now, when people come up with nonsense stuff and you really make an effort to truly understand what they're saying, they will only be able to go so far until their thing implodes, because it's not well thought through. It's an unsubstantiated perspective and opinion. So focus on understanding, and they're going to lead themselves. They're going to paint themselves into the corner, and they say, you don't get what I'm saying, or this is too complicated for you. Or they come up with some BS excuse why you're not getting it, not them. Being trying to push a BS agenda. So a lot of them don't realize it, and then sometimes you get honest people who say, you know what, I never really thought about it. Now that I kind of explain it, doesn't really make sense. Okay, never mind, or stuff like that. So just focus on understanding, So yeah, helps tremendously. You don't have to have
Oh,
opinions, Opinions, they come and go anyway. So that's what I was trying to say. Opinions or beliefs, yes?
I love that. That helps a lot
Yeah,
for me. So I'll
right.
tell you, a couple days ago after our last session, I was with a friend who she had been planning to go to the river. And when we got there, it was a big ordeal for her to plan because she spends a lot of time planning. And then it was a long drive for her to come out to get me. And it was hard for her to pack up her car and the whole thing. Well, when we finally got to the river, she had forgotten her paddle.
Huh. At least she
And
wasn't up the river yet.
right, but she had packed, the board and the whole, lunch and the whole ordeal. Had driven all this way, and she had really gotten herself excited to have this day out on the river and do the paddling, and she forgot her paddle. And I didn't really have any. I wasn't attached to any of it. I was just still happy to be there and be with her, and said it was fine for us to just be there and have a picnic, and we could swim if we wanted to,
Excellent.
or
Excellent.
not. She actually got mad at me because I didn't have a reaction, and she was feeling a reaction. She was really annoyed with me, and
Yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah. But Elizabeth, so I'll share another really powerful thing to put in your dictionary of power. It's called philosophy of opposite.
philosophy of
Yeah.
opposite.
Now it's not a power conception in the usual term. It is a standalone philosophy, right? But we're going to use it just to. We won't get into the full details of it because it's a big thing. But just to understand that sometimes things aren't what they seem, and there's a peculiar opposite logic to everything, right? Like somebody said, a quote that I added to the thing is that most shoulds are actually should nots. That's philosophy of opposite. But here's the thing: listen carefully to people. When you really, really hear them, the things that they say to you are usually about themselves. She wasn't mad at you. She was mad at herself for being mad. You not being mad made her realize that her being upset with leaving the paddle behind was completely unnecessary, and it was childish and immature and unimpeccable and silly and foolish and all sorts of bunch of things, right? You made that you not being mad made it very obvious that her being upset was silly. So she's really mad at herself, but she projects it onto you because it's the only way she can save face, essentially. So after she was mad, what happened then?
Um, she was not able to shake her bad mood, and I suggested her take me home because I wasn't able to make her feel better. And she wanted to be, she was tired and I think worn
Yeah,
out.
there
And
you go. Was she tired and worn out before the trip?
I think so. But
It
I
sounds
felt
like
like
it.
now
Yeah.
I couldn't show up to be, I couldn't meet her where she was.
Yeah.
I felt very distant from her
Yeah.
because of not having any skills to turn her mood around. I just was a very calm and
Right. Right. So again, you are looking to do a job that isn't your job. It's not your job to fix people or help them unless they're paying you.
Mm.
Got to be careful of that. This is another really profound inappropriate application of goodness. Good people are
Mm.
always trying to go around helping everybody, and it's not your job to help everybody. Beside which, we only help relative to how we think the person needs to be helped. It's your idea of what they need. That's a presumption.
Even if you're a friend.
But then your friend has to ask you for help. Yes, you can. There are ways which you can do this, and I'll get into that in a moment. But first, we have to unhook of this idea of just giving the help because we think we know what's going on. This is a dangerous thing. This is very dangerous. This is
Say
very
that again.
right. We have to
Because we think we know what's going on.
right with them. We think we know how to help them. This is presumptuous.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
How often have you been the recipient of well-meaning help that was disastrous, that was terrible, that was the worst possible thing?
Probably a lot.
Where you said, please stop helping me, leave me alone. Like your parents, they're trying to help you and they're doing all this stuff and they don't have a clue what's going on and it just makes the thing worse. Yeah? Has that happened?
Uh-huh.
Right. So don't be that parent. Don't be that person. Don't be the inappropriate helper, is what I'm trying to say. now, Now, we have a whole course on helping without helping.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right. So we'll just do a little quick few things on this here. So the way you can help without, first of all, don't ever tell anybody any advice. Never, never tell
Okay.
them. Never. Because first of all, people resent that and it's unethical. Why?
Why?
It's unethical because it robs them of the opportunity to learn for themselves. That's a crime. That's a crime.
Wow.
So what we can do is share. So if you're in that situation, you can share what's worked for you, maybe. All right. But again, we have this idea we need to do something. So that uh, that whole course, the bulk of the course, is to get the course participant because it's a course set up for wisdomless coaching, for coaching without content, for being able to assist people without doing anything. And all you need to do is be there for them, make space for them to let their stuff come out. That's it. That's it. That's pretty much all you have to do. Just listen to them.
I wish more people did that.
Exactly. Exactly. Look at what we are doing here in the course. Today I'm talking a lot. Mostly it's you, right? But I feel, at least in my perspective, and I hope Ina, you think so too, I would imagine. But I feel fairly confident to say that I feel that Elizabeth feels heard. Yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah. Of course.
Why? That's a
Yeah.
big point. Now, I said feels heard, not is heard. Two different things. You can
Mm.
be heard, but not necessarily feel heard, right?
Mm.
So we
Mhm.
make an effort to make sure that you feel heard. A big difference, right? So, capital H hearing, it's a whole course on it's one session in that course. It's part of the Mourners Project, but it's a course on its own. So when you have a friend that's just be there for them and hear them. And I don't mean listen to them, I mean hear them. It's a difference, right?
Big difference.
Exactly. Hear beyond
Yeah.
their words, hear their silences, hear what's not said, hear what's implied. That's it. Hear their moreness, hear their goodness. There's a lot of things to hear. You don't have to say anything, you don't have to know anything. You just have to be there and hear them and make space for them to let all this stuff come out. That's all your friend wanted. She was tired, she was grumpy, she was miserable, it was a mess, she wanted to vent. You were a convenient way for her to vent. So it was a public service that you were the receptacle. That's it. Don't take it
Hmm.
personally. It's a public service. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that changes it. Yeah, I was
Exactly.
feeling that I was lacking in being able to meet her where she needed me to be as a friend.
And maybe that's accurate to some degree. That all you needed to do was make space for her to do what she. But if you thinking, what do I need to do? How can I help her? You're inside your head thinking, what can I do? And you're all inside yourself. You're not paying attention to her. See,
True.
I see this with well-meaning, earnest, good people, and especially those who get into coaching. They now go to the maximum with this. They think they're going to
Mm,
fix everybody, they're going to solve all their problems. But really, they're
mm,
inside their own heads. They're not paying attention to the person themselves. Yeah.
right.
So
Right.
you said, I wish more people would hear others. This is it. Our world's problem would be solved if we just shifted from telling and saying and doing to hearing. When you hear stuff, it all comes out, and especially in a coaching or a counseling or a therapy environment, that's all you need to do. So all you need to do is just hear people and pay appropriate attention and make sure that they can see that you are hearing it. You ask appropriate questions to okay, you let them do their thing, but you want to understand. So Elizabeth, I don't get that. Say it again. You hear me say this very often. I want to know. I want to understand what's going on in you. It's not my opinion that counts. Yes, I will share some stuff because we are in the course has got content to it, so I'm connecting it to the course content. But if this was just like a regular, appointment that you booked with me just because you got a problem you want to talk about, I'll leave all the content out the window and I'll just listen to you. I won't offer you anything, and then you'll come out and I'll ask you questions. And if you talk long enough, you're going to solve your own problem. You do, because we get to have awareness. The problem is because we're not aware of the entirety of the problem, right? But once you identify the problem, okay, I get it now. I see where the exact problem is. Okay, and usually it's fairly obvious what to do about it. Or if you don't know, you can go Google it. Usually,
Mm.
Yeah. But usually once you know what the problem is, the solution becomes self-evident, right? Or usually it's a solution like, well, I just have to wait, or I just have to accept it, or something like that, which
Yeah.
which has its own challenges. But yeah, if people go through and share their problem long enough, they get multiple perspectives on it and things like this, and then they see the picture, and then the problem goes away. And also, you just feel better. Sometimes people just need to vent a little bit. So, yeah,
Yeah, they sure do.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah, and when they do that, it's easy to get into um, that mindset of wanting to, I don't know, create opinions to
Yeah, yeah,
support them or
yeah,
find solutions. Or I'm
right.
with you on the advice thing. I don't
Yeah,
usually give advice. I don't like doing that because I don't know what's right for someone else, but a lot of
exactly,
people
exactly. And
will
also, whenever you say something, always, at least in some way or another, say for me. Qualify it as an opinion. Don't state it as just as a fact. No, for me, the way I see it, as far as I know, for me, just always come back to that. In some way or another, you are making it clear that this is your opinion, this is your perspective. It's not a fact. And when you say for me, the sky looks green. What can you say with that? Can you argue with me about that?
no.
You can't, exactly, because and there are literally people who actually they'll call the sky blue, but to them it looks green. It's amazing. They've done tests and studies like that, that not everybody sees a blue sky. It's fascinating. So, where they do double, do also, to prove it out and all this. So, but when you say, for me, the sky looks purple. Okay, it looks purple to you. Good for you. You got something wrong with your eye or your brain, or you got a tumor or something. I don't know. You're just crazy. But so what? What can I say to that? Nothing. But if I say the sky is yellow, you say, no, it's not. See? Now we got something to argue about because well, duh, look at it. It's not yellow. So very simple mechanism to just add that for me, and it solves a lot of problems. It gets out of you don't end up in arguments. You end up in discussions, and then when you add that to the shift to understanding instead of agreeing and disagreeing, it's phenomenal what happens when we shift to understanding. It's profound. It's profound. It's profound. It's really huge.
Hmm.
I want to say one more thing that I wanted to say earlier, then we go back to the Dictionary of Power. Opinions or beliefs, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, what is a belief? Or let me ask you, what is a belief not?
What is a belief? Oh, uh, I don't know.
A belief is not a fact.
Oh, well, sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
like duh. Sorry, I was asking for a very duh question. I like asking duh questions because now that I say it, it's a duh. But
Yeah.
think back to all those conversations. Think back to all those protesters, right? All their opinions are all beliefs. But to them, their opinions are facts, yeah?
They sure are.
It's a belief, dude. It's a belief. A belief is not a fact. Just know this. It's a belief, not a fact. So, okay, now there might be some things that are factual that they're using to support their opinions, but still, your opinion is your perspective, your belief. It's not a fact. Be aware of this. You're trying to insist that it's a fact when it's a belief. If you were to just come from the fact that say, I've got beliefs and the other people have beliefs and we are trying to merge these in some way, now you're going to get somewhere. But when you say, I've got facts and my facts are right, your facts are wrong, the other person says, my facts are right, your facts are wrong, where are you going? Nowhere. Nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a system that has any hope of resolution. So, but when you're aware of this, it shifts things. It shifts things. It shifts things. So just aware when also, I know that you have a deep goodness and you want to make things right, but also understand that there are different paths for different people. You know, those protests and those things, those are for people who have to realize and learn. They have to learn in the hard way that their adamance, their locked inness, their stubbornness with their opinions is going to gets their heads cracked open, which is what's happening to some of them. So there are better ways of doing things, and yes, I understand it's appropriate, but it's like a phase that you have to go through. So okay, that's leave it for them. There are different things for other people. You can add to the world just by being who you are, and just by being good. You don't have to do good. You can just be good. Just being good adds to the world. So just realize different people, different paths, right? For different people. So
Yeah.
that kind of
Yeah.
thing is not necessarily your path. So just because it's something that doesn't work for you and it's not fluid, doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. It just means that you're in a different space. You know, you're looking at things from a different perspective, from a different overview perspective. So realize that things like politics and all that, at some point we have to move past of it. So let me ask you this from a spiritual point of view. Okay, so let's say we have Buddha, and Buddha's come to us. Hey, Siddhartha, how you doing, mate? All right, so we got Siddhartha chatting with us over here. He's hanging out for the day, and he says, okay, you come down there from Nirvana, whatever, and we're chatting and we're hanging out. You've been looking at the centuries all this time, right? Ever since 500 BC, 2,500 years, you've been checking this thing out. This politics deal that we got going on, is this anything new? What do you think he's going to say? He's going to say,
No.
well, there was, in this century and that century and that century, and by the time he's done, you got 2,500 centuries, and then within each century in the different places in the world. So it's like, dude, this is not anything new. It's been going on forever. So okay,
Uh,
all right. So you might think it's important. It seems important to you now, but in the bigger picture, it comes and goes, and it's just part of the deal. So chill and pay focus and pay attention to what's really, really important. You, your soul, your awareness, your attitude, your mindset, your inner being, all of the stuff. This is what really matters. You have to get past this stuff. Yeah, that's worldly stuff. You want to move on. That's the spiritual point too. That doesn't mean you ignore it because you have to live in the world. You have to be real, right? So, but again, don't overemphasize it as being overly important. Things come, they go. Yeah. So, do your bit, do your part, but it's really not the end of the world, and it's really not something that needs to take all of your energy and attention and focus. Yeah, because like I said, stuff comes, stuff goes. Because the universe brings it up again. Even if you were to sort it out, there are people who need to learn these lessons, so they don't learn them, and this is the universe giving that smack upside their head. It's just the
mm.
way of the world. And it has to be that way if we want to now really get deep into this. You kind of put me on a roll here a little bit. Why do we have to have nonsense in the world? Why do we have to have it?
I don't know if we do have to have it.
All right, so I'm going to make a case for why we do have to have it. Because we all need to start from zero when it comes to learning. If your awareness, if you don't start off with a blank slate and acquire your awareness for yourself, you'd be a robot and be programmed. Yes?
Oh,
See? So one of the ways that you know that, and the way you acquire awareness is to make deliberate choices, deliberate free choices, right? If you're choosing something because you have to, well, it's not really a choice then, right? Yeah. So if all my choices were only good ones, am I really choosing? No. So I have to be able to make mistakes to know that I truly have a free choice. Yeah.
I know I've heard you say that a number of
Right.
times.
How would you know otherwise that your choice is truly free? Look, we talked about the robots, right? I don't know if we talked here, but in one of the other Zooms, I posed a question. It's in the Monas project. I said, can a robot have free will? Maybe it's technically possible, but right now it would be thoroughly illegal to make a robot with true free will. You can't make it a robot that can choose to be a serial killer. You couldn't make a robot like that. It would be utterly illegal, right? Not to mention unethical, but be illegal. But yet, that's what would be needed for the robot to know that, okay, it's an extreme. It doesn't have to be a serial killer to prove it is free will, but it needs to actually be able to make mistakes. And it makes small mistakes and see, oh, if I do more of this, it'll be a worse mistake. It's just a matter of degree. You don't have to do the excess to prove that this is not a path. But the robots don't have that luxury. They can't make mistakes, deliberate mistakes. They can't do it. They can't make wrong choices. They can only do what they've been told to do, programmed. So they don't have any free will, which means they're not going to be able to acquire awareness, because awareness comes from deliberately, freely choosing. Not because of punishment, not because of reward, but because you choose it for you. It's your choice. Right? If you're choosing it only because of punishment and reward, you saw lots of kids at school. They did this. Did everything the teacher said, but they had no real free will. They had no real independence. They were just slaves. They were just robots. Yeah. You can just do all the good things, but it still has to be a deliberate, conscious choice. And you have to know what all the options are. So otherwise you won't grow your awareness. So this is a very important thing. That's what I'm saying. That's why you have nonsense in the world, because people have to be able to free to choose. And the universe uses that nonsense in order to basically give you the smack upside the head, because they didn't deliberately learn. They're reluctant to learn. How many times did they get this lesson? And take your friends and your girlfriends with their relationships, right? How often haven't you heard your friends say, I always fall for the same guy. Ah, I never learned my lesson. They even say it. I don't know if I could get the attitude right, but I was trying.
yeah, that was good.
Right. But you've heard this plenty times, right? And it's like they even say it. I never learned my lesson. Well, that's why you keep getting the same guys, because you don't learn your lesson, and they even know it. So this is the way the universe works. If you don't learn your lesson, you're gonna get, and they usually will make it a little bit worse until you say, well, I really have to make the effort to learn my lesson now. It's just getting worse, and so those relationships, after a while, you see it just keeps on getting worse until it gets so extreme that it forces them to really shift and learn and change. Yeah. I think you've been in the situation yourself a little bit, yeah?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. So just know this is how the universe works. So, with the mess in politics, with messes and stuff that's not smooth, it's opportunities for people to learn. When you start looking at everything in the world from the perspective of learning, it changes everything. So, where's the awareness lesson here? What is it that I need to learn? When you start relating to absolutely everything like this, it changes everything.
Hmm.
So somebody posted in group. They said they shifted, right, from this conversation. This is the point. So this was they said I shifted from saying why to saying what's the lesson here. That's what we're doing,
Hmm.
right? You know, why is looking for blame. It's looking for some cause. Doesn't matter what the cause is. The cause is the universe, and the reason for it is the why is the universe wants you to learn. So say, oh, it's all about learning. Well, okay, now I know why. It's a duh why. Once you accept this as a why on everything is there to get you to learn, then you know the why. You always know the why. The question is really, what is it exactly that I need to learn? What am I being forced to learn as well? When we shift to this, oh man, it is so magical. It is so huge. It is so profound.
Yeah. Yeah, that is very helpful.
Huge. It's huge. It's a huge, huge, huge deal. And this is how the universe makes sense. Remember, we were talking about it making sense, and you said, I don't know
Mhm.
if the universe can make sense. So
Of course I said that.
when you look at every single thing as a mechanism geared or designed towards developing and enhancing and stimulating and furthering your awareness, when you see everything as being about awareness, then everything makes sense. Absolutely everything. And then you'll see how what's happening in your life is tailor made, it's precise, it's intimate, it's there precisely for the precise lesson you need to learn. But we need to be able to shift our awareness and think like the universe, not think like ourselves. So in this difficulty with say your friend, for instance, right, the universe is saying, well, you have to learn to get out of this insistence on trying to solve everybody's problems. It's inappropriate. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of arrogant in a way too, isn't
Yes.
it? I know it comes from goodness, and I know I'm pressing it. It's kind of a harsh thing to say, but it's a sad reality. Most good people end up being inadvertently arrogant through inappropriate application of goodness, and that's the power conception that we're on. My whole conversation has really been about this inappropriate application of goodness, right, in its various ways. So we just have to understand this, and say, hey, there are different ways. Am I really helping or am I making it worse? When you really ask that, it's a different perspective. It's a different perspective. Yeah.
I'm feeling boring for not
Good.
being able to. That's
Good.
good.
Yes. Because when you
Not
start feeling,
bored, but
yeah,
boring,
yeah, I understand. I understand.
conversation.
But look at the lesson. Yeah, isn't that an ego lesson?
I suppose.
Exactly. If you chill and you're happy and you're at peace with yourself, Siddhartha over here, man, he just sits there meditating all day and he's in his empty space mind of no mind. He's hopelessly boring. See?
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. Says who you have to be entertaining.
You're
Besides,
not boring. You're very entertaining.
yeah, well, I'm crazy, so. You are too, Elizabeth. You're a wonderful
That's
person.
helpful.
Yeah, yeah. Now,
Yeah.
think of people that you like, who are like you, like Bina. Bina has, a similar personality style to you, right? And personality is not character, right? Two different things. We have similar characters. We both believe in goodness. We believe in impeccability. We believe in sensibility. We believe in sobriety. We believe in diligence and integrity and ethics and scrupulousness and thoroughness, etc., right? So that's our character. Personality-wise, it's very different. Yeah.
Right.
Do you enjoy Bina's chillness? Is she boring?
No, she's
Oh.
brilliant.
Bina, is Elizabeth boring? Yes.
Not at all.
Oh,
Not
so
at
say,
all.
please say yes, please say yes. But dang it, I had a chance. Oh, no, of course
But
not. So let me. I just want to ask Elizabeth one more question.
okay, okay.
Is goodness boring?
No.
No, you exude goodness. It's never boring. It's a delight. It's a joy. So there you go. Your job is not
Uh,
to entertain. Your job is to not be bad. Any goodness is a bonus. Your
wow.
job
I
is
wonder
to
why I would
not
even think
be
that.
bad. Yeah. Well, you got it from somebody else. So realize the other thing with when it comes to belief. Sorry, Bina, I'll come back to you in 1 second. The other thing with belief is when we start looking closely, we realize most of our beliefs are not our own. We assimilate, we get told to believe stuff. Our entire culture, our entire conditioning Everything is geared around telling you what you should believe. And when we start to unhook from should, it's when we really start to live. Should is a very evil thing. It
Yes.
subverts your goodness. Should leverages and it manipulates your goodness to get you to do what somebody else thinks is appropriate for you. They don't know, they're not you, right? So there's a lot of nonsense should out there, and like the one quote there, usually should is actually a should not. So just philosophy of opposite, just switch the shoulds around and start whenever you hear should, think should not, and see how brilliant that
Mm.
works for you. It's fantastic.
Mm.
Yeah. We should help others. No, 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 no. You should not, because you are robbing them from learning for themselves. It's a crime. It's an ethical crime. If they ask you, that's one thing. Even then, you can't really help them. You can assist them, but not help them. Because helping is kind of when you do it for them. But when you assist them, they the ones figuring it out. They the ones learning. That's a whole different deal. You can assist people, yes, but not help them? No, no. Not in the way that people usually help, which is solve the problem for them, right?
Yeah.
I mean, just a little
Yeah,
story
that's
that
good.
to illustrate this. When I was a youth, at school, I doing a crossword puzzle, and I'm sitting there, and my older brother is 4 years older than me. He walks by, and it was a simple crossword puzzle, and he says, "Oh, two across is this four," and I swore at him. I said, "F off," and he was like, wow, what? And he was really like bothered. He was kind of like taken aback. I said, what did I do? I said, you just took all my fun out of it. I was wanting to solve it for myself. You just took all the joy out of it, all the fun out of it. You didn't help me nothing. Because he said, oh, what? I was trying to help you. I said, no, you weren't. You was trying to be clever,
Mm.
right? It would show how clever you
Mm.
were. It was an ego deal. I didn't tell it to him then, but I said, you weren't actually helping because you robbed me of the opportunity to figure it out for myself. I wanted to know that I could figure it out.
Right.
Now I'm robbed of that opportunity because it's already solved. So I never know if I could have figured that out at that point in time. See? So it kind of shook him a little bit. So we have to be very careful with help. It's not usually a good thing. Very, very seldom, at least pretty much never, because you are robbing somebody of the opportunity to learn by themselves. To assist them, this is a different thing. Now, if he'd said, for me, when I don't know, I run through and I do this, I kind of think of words that start with a letter, and then I go, I do anyway, whatever the tricks are. He could have said, these are techniques and tools, and this is what wave impeccability is all about. We're not giving you the answers. Oh, hey, who said you must suddenly decide to start playing? It was stuck, and it was buffering. Oh, now
Mm.
and then it's finished buffering. I don't know, hours later. But anyway, all right. So um, this is what wave impeccability is. We're not giving you solutions. We're giving you tools, right? That's what the dictionary of power is. They're all tools. This concept of inappropriate application of goodness, it's a profound tool. It's an awareness, it's an
Yeah.
understanding, and even better, it's a self-evident sensibility. It makes sense within itself. There's no belief required, right? With inappropriate application of goodness. Yeah.
How would you define self-evident sensibility?
All right. So do I need to explain to you why good is good?
Okay.
Good is a self-evident sensibility, right? So
So
in the
no
same
belief
way,
necessary.
yeah, in no belief necessary. Exactly, exactly. Same with inappropriate application of goodness. Once you hear that, you say, oh, is that possible? Oh gosh, yes, of course it's possible. I've been the victim of inappropriate application of goodness many times, with well-meaning people who were trying to help me and had no clue what was going on, and they made things worse. And I had to tell them to get lost eventually, or if I couldn't say that, they just really made my life miserable. But they were trying to help. They were well-meaning. They were good, right? Inappropriate
Right.
application of goodness. So when you think it through, or just think about it even a little bit, it's like, well, duh. Okay, so impeccability. We've gone into detail with what impeccability is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it sensible?
To be impeccable?
Yeah,
Well, sure. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And when you know what impeccability means, the way we are defining it. It's self-evident. It's like, well, duh. You know, when you say best use of energy, oh, well, duh. Isn't the best use of your energy sensible? Well, duh. You see, they're ridiculously obvious. They're just like, well, duh. But we never think of it. So this is what we do. We are just making you aware of things which are so duh and so obvious. That's our job, making the obvious obvious, really. That's all there is to it. You know, when you think of, well, of course I gotta make best use of my energy, because if I waste it, I'll run out of energy, and then it'll be a mess, right? Like your friend, when she ran out of energy, it was a mess. So we always get miserable and unhappy when things run out, when we run out of happy. And we think of when you woke up, you know, and you woke up full of energy, full of beans. It didn't matter what was going on in the world. You were just happy. You were full of joy, and it didn't matter. You had the energy to get rid of all that stuff. So 10 to 1, you know, or not 10 to 1, but almost inevitably, when people are miserable and unhappy, depressed, whatever, it's because they're low energy.
Well, I know someone who's very miserable and unhappy most of the time. He's frustrated
Yeah,
that things aren't different. And
exactly,
you,
exactly.
uh, yeah,
Now,
so it's
now
hard
ask
to,
him to make a list of things that he does that he spends energy on,
uh-huh.
or make a list for him. Just watch him and say, okay, what is he doing? He's stressing. Okay, add it to your list. Worrying, fussing, bothering. He's frustrated. All energy drains. They're all open. They continually. He's doing this perpetually, right? It's like he's got open windows in his computer. You know, you're running extra programs all at the same time, and your computer says to you, low on resources, because you got too many windows open, too many programs. Same thing with people. You know, close those open windows or open tabs. Either way, you know. So that's it. Energy drains. Energy drains. Energy drains.
So save your energy and create more energy by meditating, by self-care.
Sleeping appropriately, and being in attunement. Yes, yes. Yes, don't waste your
Attunement.
energy. Our energy is precious. So the key part of getting our energy back is to not waste it, and not have those open things that drain your energy even while you're asleep. You're fussing and worrying about something. You know, the world is what it is, you know, and fussing about its current state of affairs. Yes, you can want it to be better. You can make an effort to want it to be better. But fussing and stressing about it, that doesn't help anything except drain your energy. Now, a lot of people feel, it's a very important point here, since we're on inappropriate application of goodness. They feel that their goodness forces them to worry and stress and fuss.
Uh-huh.
If
Yes.
I'm not worrying and stressing and fussing, then it means I don't care. It means I'm a bad person. Oh, I can't have
Right.
that. Oh, what will people think if if they don't see me fussing and stressing? They're going to think I'm a bad person. So they're not really worried about the world. They're worried about other people's opinions of themselves. So,
Yeah.
right?
Right. I come across this a lot.
Exactly. So if we start to pay attention, we zoom out our awareness a little bit, and we practice discernment, we practice looking past the surface. We see all sorts of things, and we start paying attention to awareness and to energy and to intent. Everything comes clear very, very quickly, right? And this concept of inappropriate application of goodness. I hear you, good person. I hear you are bothered and stressed by the state of the world. But you stressing about it isn't making it, it isn't adding to it. All you're doing is you're putting negativity out. Ah, however, if you are focused on a solution, if you are focused on sharing, here's what we can do. This is the way we can resolve it. These are things we can try. You know, this we can practice this. If you start shifting on the focus on the positive and emphasizing the positive, big difference. So, right? I mean, if you think of positivity and negativity as viruses,
Mhm.
if you're being stressful, tell your friend, say, hey, dude, you know, if negativity and stress and worry were viruses, what would be going on here? And they
I'd be
are.
very sick.
And they are. Not only that, he's the one who is infected, but he's also infecting you and everybody else. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So we have a responsibility to not be negative. You don't have to be positive, but don't be negative. Because if you're negative, you keep spreading that virus of negativity around, and you just add it to the world. Yeah.
Yeah.
Big deal. Now, but I want to go back to this point of stress and
Mhm.
worry and anxiety and fuss and bother and being outraged and indignant at wrongness. Yes, we
Mhm.
can't tolerate this stuff, and yes, we have to say this is no good, but we can't let it put us out of our sensibility and fall into negativity, because then we're just adding negativity. So yes, of course we object. Yes, we don't tolerate it, but we can do so from a positive, sober point of view, rather than from a stress and an anxiety and a negative point of view. Different way of dealing with it, right?
Right. Yeah, that goes back to the joy, like we were talking
Exactly,
about last time,
exactly, exactly,
right?
exactly, exactly, exactly. If you go around adding joy, even in those riots, if you truly could be joyful there, some say, wow, yes, somebody is joyful. And you're saying, here's the positive solution, whatever it is, but just your joy. Wow, this is an infection, but it might not be in such a lot. It might not make a difference, but it could do. It could be transformative. But you have to be careful, because when people are in bubbles, the logic and the rationality, it's within the bubble only. Within that bubble, it all makes sense to them.
Uh-huh.
So you have to be aware that people can be in bubbles, and popping bubbles. It's a dangerous business. It's very dangerous business.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Yes, it
yeah.
is.
So stay away from people in
But that's
bubbles.
not our job. That's
Exactly.
not our job.
Exactly. 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 Trust the universe will take care of it. That's all. So again, like Siddhartha was saying, yeah, the stuff's been going on since day dot. Just be aware that in the grand scheme of things, they come and they go, and it's part of the flow and evolution. And those that feel the pressure, those that are in the bubble, are going to go and deal with it. And then there's going to be those in the positive bubbles that are going to be dealing. Okay, good. That's it. Let them deal with it. You've got other stuff to take care of. You're in a different space in terms of your awareness and your growth. It's not your lesson right now. You got other lessons to do. So, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
be appropriate, in other
that's
words.
great.
Yeah, yeah. Appropriateness is the magic one of. It's one thing. It always boils down to appropriateness. If you ever stuck, just ask, is this appropriate, right? So appropriateness is in your dictionary of power, yes?
It is, and I think that is a game changer for everybody
Yeah,
once they
yeah,
can grasp it.
yeah.
But the challenge is to know, or the trick is to know what is appropriate for you,
All right,
especially when it comes to goal setting,
all right. Now let's,
or
yeah, yeah, right,
you know how I on
right,
the Facebook
right.
page it was talking about appropriateness versus
Proper.
uh, yeah, somebody who was more prosperity minded was talking about it. Do you remember?
I don't,
Wanting to
but
make money, wanting to
right, right. Yeah, again,
self affirmations.
oh, right, 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 right. Okay, but let's look at appropriateness really carefully and be very clear that there isn't a singular answer for what is appropriate. It's a variable. It's always going to change, right? If somebody
Yes.
asks you, well, what is appropriate? Your answer is going to be, well, depends.
Yes.
It depends on what you want to do, right?
Right.
And it depends in the context. Okay, so if you're a hooligan and or at least you have a goal, your intent, what you want to do is be a hooligan. This is your intent. Okay,
Okay.
you go to a funeral. How are you going to behave? You're not going to be all sad and mourning and respectful, right? If your intent
Okay.
is to be a hooligan, that would be inappropriate for you to be sad and mournful and serious and somber and all that, right?
Right.
So it's not only your goals that determine appropriateness, but also the context. Yeah,
Okay.
because you're looking to be disruptive. You're a hooligan. See? So now that same hooligan goes to a wedding, and now they're all somber and serious and mournful and sad, right? Like at the wedding party. Again, it's appropriate because they're a hooligan, because they're being disruptive. See what I'm trying to say? It's opposite
Yeah.
behavior, but because their goal was to be a hooligan, to do the very opposite is actually appropriate for them. See?
Yeah.
So when we're looking at what's appropriate, we have to take context and your goal in mind, your objective, right? So for most people, their objective when they go to a funeral is to be respectful and to be, go with the settings, whatever the mood is. Now, you might go to an Irish funeral, and then you bring your sadness and your and I say, what the hell's going on here? This is awake. Come on, you're supposed to be. The appropriate thing in an Irish funeral is to have a party and celebrate the person who's departed and send them off on their way, right? So appropriateness
Mm-hmm.
changes. It depends. It's a variable, right? See what I'm trying to say with appropriateness? So whenever
I
you
do.
ask what's
Yes.
appropriate, you have to say, what's my goal? What's my intent? What am I trying to achieve? Right? You have to ask that first. Then you have to say, in what context? What's the context here? Right? So to get your goal, to achieve your goal, in different contexts, you may have to have different behavior, right? If your goal is to be respectful, at the funeral you're sad, at the wedding you're joyful. There you go. In general, unless you're at an
Okay.
Irish wedding, then Irish funeral, well, then you're joyful. Maybe at Irish weddings you sad. I don't know, but could be. I'm just saying. You see what I'm trying to say? My point is that when we're looking at
Yeah.
appropriate behavior, it's a variable. It changes. It depends on the situation. It depends on what you want to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
So most people don't understand this about appropriateness. They confuse appropriateness with proper. Proper is somebody else's idea of what's appropriate, but that's their idea, and it's a very rigid standard, and you know it's very limited. So that's just a narrow selection of possible behavior, but that's according to them, not according to you. You're the only one who can decide what's appropriate for you, because it depends on your goals. Like I said, if you want to go and be a hooligan at a wedding, you're going to do the opposite and be appropriate. Appropriate to you, not appropriate to them. So of course we want to take our goals and minds into mind, and those of others, and try and be appropriate and keeping both in mind. But when it comes to a guy putting his hands all over you, well, now our ideas of appropriate and our agendas, our goals are two different things, right? So I can't meet you. I can't be accommodating for you because what you're doing is inappropriate for me. There's a limit. Sorry. So we have to just be
Right.
aware of this, yeah, and act accordingly. It's very powerful, yeah. So whenever we ask ourselves, what do I need to do? Just ask, is this appropriate? And you'll soon see. Now, if we ask it in the universal condition, we ask our Siddhartha again. He says, "Hey, Sid, what's appropriate?" He said, "Well, isn't being aware appropriate?" Sid's asking Elizabeth. He wants to know, is there any situation where unawareness is appropriate in general?
Wow, what a great question.
Oh,
Uh, I mean, that's how you learn, by having unawareness.
okay. I said that's a very good. That's like real advanced level stuff. Because if you started off with awareness, as a program, well, then you'd have awareness, okay, but you wouldn't have that unawareness that would force you to learn, and your learning wouldn't be real, so you wouldn't have real awareness. You'd just be a robot. So yeah, we get that problem again.
Right.
So yes, you need unawareness in order to learn, but it's not something that you want. So awareness is always helpful, right? And you want to be more and more and more and more aware. Now, okay, you might say, unawareness of like a danger where you're not stressing and fussing is can be in a very limited situation be useful, but if that's just unintended and inadvertent, then when it is appropriate for you to be aware, you're going to be unaware, and then you're going to get wiped out. So you want to be aware enough to be aware of when you can deliberately shut your awareness down, and put yourself in a bubble. That's like real super high grade awareness, right? If you want to, I don't want to put it on a hierarchy, but that's a sophisticated usage of your awareness. You see, but when you have options, in other words, the more awareness you have, the more choices you have, the more options you have, the more freedom you have, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So wouldn't you say that freedom is having the maximum amount of choice possible? That's true, capital F freedom, ultimate freedom. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So in
Yes.
order to have choices, you have to have awareness, right?
Yes.
Otherwise, how are you going to know what the choices are? Oh, Bina, we didn't get back to you. What were you going to say earlier? I'm sorry, Bina. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Let's just jump in, Bina. Interrupt me. It's no problem. Always. What were you going to say, Bina? Oh, Bina's dropped off. I see she's off on Facebook. Well, maybe not. Let's hope. Bina, are you here? All right. Well, when she comes back, we'll ask her. So, you see what I'm saying with awareness? It's the key to everything, right? So, we want to develop
Yeah.
our awareness. So, the more awareness you have, the better able you are to be appropriate, right?
Right.
There you go. That's how it works. Very simple. So, the entire universe is a massive school for learning awareness.
Yeah, that was good.
So, add awareness to your dictionary of power terms. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I would imagine.
Well, I don't have anything written actually, so what should I
Oh,
write?
oh, you mean what
Awareness.
awareness is? Ah,
Yeah,
we'll
the
get into that.
definition.
We'll get into a moment. I just wanted to tie this together. That
Oh.
somebody said to me, "Well, what do I want to be aware for? I don't want to know everything that's out there." It's like, what's the point of awareness? What's the purpose? I said, well, awareness is there to enable you to be appropriate. The more awareness you have, the greater your range of abilities to be appropriate. Ultimately, if you have maximum awareness, you'll be able to be appropriate in any situation, right? And awareness gives you choice. Fine, if you want to live without choice, if you're happy with the narrow bubble that you're in, okay, maybe you don't want awareness. But in general, awareness gives you more and more choice. The more aware, the more choice. Yeah. And the greater your choices are, the more sensible you can be, the more appropriate again you can be, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
So
this
the
is,
more freedom
yeah,
you can
exactly,
acquire.
exactly. And the less stress you can have because you can be appropriate. Now, if you really had a lot of awareness, you would have seen Mr. Hands-On coming from a mile away.
Yes, but even in awareness, there's the curiosity to know more.
But you'd be
It
aware
feels
that when
like.
you're when curiosity kills the cat, or when curiosity gets you, okay, I'm curious about this hole in the ground. Let me see what's in there, and you stick your hand in, and the snake bites you. So again, awareness will
Yes.
tell you when it's appropriate to be curious and not. Right? Again, yes, curiosity in general is good, but curiosity killed the cat too. So it's in general it's good, not always. So awareness lets you know when it's appropriate to be curious or not. Yeah. Right. Plus, if you have real good awareness, now think of some girlfriends that you have that are kind of that they're very man aware, and they don't have problems with guys, right? No guy comes and puts their hands on them. Why? Because they see the guy, they have an awareness that this guy is a jerk of putting, and the guy sees that they see it, and he doesn't even try it with them.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So you see,
Yeah.
awareness can be contagious, and awareness is something that people can feel and see. So when they see you in a bubble and they see you in your goodness bubble, they just see, oh, yeah, somebody who's going to basically, allow themselves to be used. You open that door because your awareness is on being nice. Your awareness is focused on, I don't want to make a scene. I don't want to make a fuss. They can see it. I mean, I have a whole course on this psychology, right? On we call them BMNs, bullshit
Mm.
manipulator narcissists, right? And they spot nice people a mile away, and to them, niceness is like, it's a magnet that draws them in. So they just know that they can manipulate your niceness. And they do. They deliberately manipulate your niceness. They know you're not going to make a fuss because you're too nice to make a fuss. So of course they can come and do what they want with you. But if they see your awareness and they say, oh, you know what? I have I'm aware of myself. I'm aware that my niceness can be inappropriate, and I'm not going to tolerate nonsense. And I see your nonsense. I see what you're up to. Sorry, this ain't going to fly by me. And their game doesn't work if you're aware. It can only work if you're not aware. So awareness is a very powerful tool. Again, think of your girlfriends who don't have this problem with men. They have a different awareness to you when it comes to men, yeah?
Yeah,
Right? Right? So learn from
they
it.
do.
Learn from it. Learn from it. Learn from it. Understand that goodness can be a liability if not used appropriately.
Hmm.
It's been a problem for you, yes?
Yeah, oh, many
Right,
times.
right. So don't change your goodness. Just use your goodness appropriately. You're a fantastically good person. Almost all the trouble you get in has been from inappropriate application of goodness. Yeah?
Yeah,
When have you
right.
been deliberately bad?
Absolutely.
When have you been deliberately bad?
I can't even think of a time right now.
Exactly, exactly. But you've been in lots of trouble and messes and all sorts of nonsense because inappropriate application of awareness, of goodness. Yeah, yeah. So it's a very powerful thing. It's a very powerful thing. Very powerful thing.
Hmm.
It's really huge. It's really huge. It's a very big deal. All right. So you get the idea of what inappropriate application of goodness is. There's not really much of a definition of that. Yeah.
I would say I get into badness when I am arrogant, but I didn't know that it was arrogance. I thought I was pushing.
Exactly.
Uh,
Now,
I
again,
thought I was,
you weren't actually arrogant. It was just inappropriate application of goodness, right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
coupled with unawareness. So don't mistake unawareness and inappropriateness because of unawareness. Don't mistake those for badness. Badness is intentional. It's deliberate. That's
Yeah,
badness, right? You didn't know it was wrong at the time, right?
right.
You thought you were being good.
No, I
Yeah,
think,
you were being inappropriately good, but you thought you were being good. So appreciate yourself for that and love yourself for that. Love yourself for being a good person, albeit somewhat of an unaware good person. So good. It's fantastic. That's how we start. And that's most people in the world,
well,
Elizabeth.
sometimes I think I'm so aware though that I think
Yes.
a situation actually means something else that it's not showing on the surface. I think it's
It's
something
bubbles.
else
Yes.
when
Yes.
I should just take it for what it is on the surface.
Yeah. 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 We can look for more meaning than there is. Now, this is the other thing with good people. They don't want to believe that there's nonsense in the world. And good people can't believe preposterousness, for instance. They cannot believe that somebody could stand up in front of the whole world and tell an outright lie that is so blatant and so obvious and so easily proven to be false. It just they can't believe this is possible. So they say, no, but it must be true. But yet we see this with Trump every day. He trades on this. He knows that people are not, they're going to believe him because it's preposterous. And their brains just can't compute that he could be so outrageous. He knows this. He knows this for a fact. And he uses this, he leverages
Mm.
this. That's why when he says Mexico's going to pay for the world, he knows people are going to swallow it because what's the alternative for an earnest good person to believe? That this guy is deliberately shining you on, this guy's playing you for a fool. Now, a lot of his supporters have big egos. They don't want to believe that he's playing them for a fool and he's treating them like complete idiots. So their ego jumps in and say, well, no, that can't be it. So obviously he must be telling the truth then. See? It's manipulation 101. It's really basic manipulation. So it's fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating. So being aware that people can be preposterous. This is difficult for good people. But how can they look? Listen to your friends, your good friends, that are good people also, or anybody, right? When let's say they're watching a movie like on a serial killer movie or whatever, murder. But how could they? How? And this is they stuck. They get stuck on this point. But how? How does somebody do something like that? They will say it over and over and over again, right? You've probably done the same thing,
Yeah,
right? You say, but
yeah.
how? But how? Well, they're not you. And understand that your way of thinking, your goodness, it's not innate. right? It's not innate. Some people have animal psychologies. I mean, look, how many people do you
Mm.
know can, attack a deer with their bare teeth and eat it up and rip its throat out? And, it's a brutal business, right? But some people think like
Mm.
that. They can do that. They have that same psychology. So, stop seeing people as people. That's probably one of my first recommendation here. Understand that there's
Mm.
all whole range of people, and just because they are people and a human being like you doesn't mean they think like you, believe like you, have the same ethics and morals or not. No, you get the whole range of human beings, and if you don't see the animals that are in human form, well, they're gonna eat you.
Mm.
It's as simple as that, because that's what they do.
Mm.
Yeah, that's what they do. Where's my scorpion and the frog story? Hold on.
Yeah, that's good. That's very true.
It's
I
very
wish I had
powerful.
heard that when I was young.
Yeah, I hear
Hmm.
you, Elizabeth. I hear you. But sometimes when we're young, you just believe the stuff and you accept it without thinking, and then you just get programmed into goodness, and you also get limited. Yes, okay, you live a good life and you don't cause trouble, but you also, the universe says, yeah, but you're just a robot. So what if the world is full of robots? They're not real. The robots want you to be the universe. You want to be real. You want to be real, not a robot. Yeah. I mean, would you rather be friends with this good robot that has no independence of being, no spirit? It can't really think for itself, but it just does good things all the time. Talk about boring. See? So we want real people. We want people who are good because they choose to be good, because it's a deliberate choice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, where was it?
Yeah, but it would be nice to not have to have so much struggle and so much
I know, but the more we learn, and
problem.
the right, the more we get, the more we start to deliberately learn, right? We start to see these problems not as problems, but as gifts, gifts of learning, and then our whole world starts to change. And the more you start looking at things like this as gifts, then you start to live in a different world, and it all changes at some point, and we live in a magical universe. It's quite profound. It really is. It's a magical thing. I wanna read you a story. I'm trying to remember where it is now. I know where it is. There we go. All right. So here we go. A little story for you. Bina, are you here? I mean, the picture says, but sometimes when she disconnects, it just leaves her up there for a long time. So it's kind of weird the way that works. So,
Yeah, I was listening.
oh,
I was.
good. Oh, good, Bina. Oh, good. Oh, good. I'm glad you're here. All right. So I want to read you a story here. All right, you ready? A
Yep.
scorpion asks a frog. A scorpion asks a frog to carry it across a river. The frog hesitates, afraid of being stung. But the scorpion argues, if it did so, they would both drown. Hmm. Considering this, the frog agrees. But midway across the river, the scorpion does indeed sting the frog. But why? Cries the frog. Because it's my nature, the scorpion replies, as they both drown. All right? So,
Nature.
yeah. So
Okay.
just understand that with some people, they'll take you down with them because it's their nature. Don't think because it's self-destructive for them that they won't do it. They can't help themselves but to be self-destructive. It's a crazy thing. And okay, we're talking about this in a
Mm.
psychological situation, not necessarily physical. But look at some of the relationships you've been in, right? With BMNs, they self-destruct and they take you down with them. They do things which are they harm you, but it's harming them. They will run you down, they criticize you, they pull you down, they try and make you lower than them because they have to be higher in the hierarchy. But in doing so, they basically, all your niceness, they kind of wipe it out. They want you because you are nice, but at the same time, they can't stand you being nice because you being nice makes you better than them, and they can't stand that because they got this hierarchy nonsense. So they will self-destruct and kill the relationship because of their nonsense and lose out in themselves. They will lose out too, but they can't help themselves. It's an amazing thing. It's their nature. So just be aware of it, you know. Yeah, crazy business,
Yeah,
crazy business. We
that's
tend to, as
that.
good people, we assume people are inherently sensible, but not always, right? I mean, look, scorpions, not inherently sensible.
It's a good reminder. I'll remember
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
good.
Really amazing, really amazing, really, really amazing. So, you know, just it's that inappropriate application of goodness once again. We assume goodness in others when that's sadly not always the case. Or they might be at the root deep, 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 deep down. Yes, I can make a case for Trump being a good person. I really can. But he's so far removed that it becomes irrelevant. His original motivation, he thinks being superior, being dominant, manipulating. He was taught as a kid by his father that manipulation is a good thing. Screwing people over, that's good, my boy. This shows you're tough, you're powerful. This is the way you get ahead. So he came to believe this is doing it. You know, putting one over people. You know, fooling them. You know, scamming them. This is good. That's who his father was. You know, very specifically, his father had a lawyer. You know, Roy Cohen was a dreadful guy. You know, he became Trump's mentor, and this was the guy's philosophy in life. You know, so but again, he's manipulating, and Trump thinks this is what's good to do. So does that make him actually really from a universal point of view? No, he's trying to do good just in a messed up way. Right? What he believes is good is actually bad. So but just be aware that people will really mess you up trying to do their good things which they think is good, but they think to be horrible is to be good. So be aware of this. Yes, they might at root be good people, but the goodness is messed up, so it's very dangerous.
I think I have been thinking that all along everybody wants peace, but maybe that's not true at all, is it?
Oh hell no. Some people truly, truly, truly believe in hierarchy and superiority and dominance. They have that animal psychology. Let's look at a group of lions, right? Any group of animals, almost all animals have hierarchy in there, like a chicken, like a pecking order. It doesn't matter. Horses, zebras, lions, cows, whatever. It doesn't matter. They all have this. It's just that's the system in nature. We have that brain within us. That primitive animal brain is called the brainstem, right? People call it the lizard brain. It sits here right at the back of your head, right?
Yeah.
So, and for some people, that's where they operate from. They don't use their other brains. We've got like 7 brains inside of us. We're brainiacs, all of us, right? But they don't use it. They just get consumed in that brain, and they just think. And you'll see they have the shallow logic. It's one-step logic. They don't think, yeah, but what's the next step? They never think past the first step. They just believe whatever the first and the obvious things, like animals. So just be aware that we have this animalistic brain, and some people operate from that. And that's the thing. They're always afraid of scarcity. All animals are afraid of scarcity. When somebody has something, oh, I'm going to get nothing, because they think there's a limited pie. Because, well, when the lions kill something, there is a limited pie, and so on and so forth. So there's always limited resources in nature, and it's always a struggle for resources. So that's where the dominance comes from. And if it's not about food, then it's about mating. So limited resources. Everybody's trying to get the top mate, top whatever. So it's always this unending battle that doesn't need to be. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's pretty interesting. So that's what the course is. It's the psychology of the superiority paradigm. It's that whole course on that, where we really go into detail about all of the stuff in real fine detail to really understand it. But it's enough to know it's there and it exists. And yes, not everybody's trying to be good. They're trying to do what they think is good. This is why it's a complex, nuance, it's a sophisticated thing. So they're saying, yeah, but actually they are trying to be good. Yeah, they are. It's just that their idea of what is good is messed up, right? You ask those people that are doing things like this, like Trump, right? and say, Trump, do you think you're evil? Say, he would get most upset and to think that, no, I'm not evil. He will really take this under, I'm not evil. I'm not evil. He will really argue this point strongly. I've had this conversation with people where they do the squirrely and nonsense thing and say, yeah, but are you evil? But you're doing things that deliberately hurt people. How is that not evil? Oh, they get really bent out of shape with that. So in his mind, he's doing good. Yes, of course he's hurting people and not doing nice things, but they don't think it. Yeah, Hitler, he thought he was doing good too. Idiot. But that's it. That's the problem with unawareness. And that's what I was trying to say earlier with bubbles. When people get caught up in their bubbles, everything makes sense within their bubbles. If they look at it from outside, then they see it from our perspective and it's like, but inside their bubble, it all makes sense. And this is a classic definition of madness. When you're crazy, you believe things that make sense within your bubble, but it's that bubbleness, that limited perspective, where that stuff is making sense to you, but it doesn't in the bigger context. Of course, anything can make sense in a limited context, right?
Right.
I mean, if you remember when you were a kid, lots of things make sense, and then as you kind of woke up and you had, oh, I see how this doesn't make sense. I mean, Santa Claus, Father Christmas made complete sense to people, or whatever the equivalent is in other places. Fairy stories. It all made sense until, okay, it's a story. Right? You were in a bubble. You're in a bubble. Yeah. So that's our reality, yeah. Isn't that something? So we have to be aware.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the implication of that is, what bubble am I in right now? Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
We're all in bubbles. So yeah, that's it. So we have to make peace with that. So we are going to come at the end of the program. We're going to get our tools in place first. We're going to deal with attunement, which is the way to resolve the dilemma of the bubble. Right?
Attunement.
Attunement.
Where do I have that?
So attunement is okay, it's one, you can add it in your dictionary of power. It's not actually a definition of it, but it's an understanding. It's a perspective on it. Right. So, yeah. Bina, do you have anything to say?
What did you say that it is?
I said attunement is a way to resolve the dilemma of bubble awareness, or it's a mechanism for resolving the dilemma of bubble awareness. Bina, where are you? I'm keen to hear what you have to say, Bina. All right, so Bina, what do you have to say? Say, Bina, say. We didn't hear you.
No, actually, I was like, and I was listening, and I was walking, so that's why I was away from here.
Oh.
But that was not the point. It is already covered and really interesting what you were sharing. So.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So in your dictionary of power, we have appropriateness, and you've put appropriateness. It depends on motive or goal or intent and context. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. What's your next entry in there?
Oh, deliberation of being.
Okay. All right. Rather than the liberation of being, just abbreviate that or shorten it to deliberate being or deliberate living. Yeah. Because deliberation is like serious thinking as opposed to being deliberate.
Yeah, I don't know why I have that.
Oh, okay.
Deliberate. Okay.
Deliberate being and deliberate living, both of them. Have them both in there. Or two together.
Okay.
All right. So deliberate living is when you consciously, knowingly, in full awareness, make your choices. Right. So that's what being deliberate means, is that you choose according to your own criteria, not those of somebody else.
Okay. Energy management.
All right. So energy management is exactly what it says. Manage your energy. Don't waste it. Use it appropriately. And here's the key with energy. If you just spend your energy like your money, what's going to happen? You're not going to have any before long, right? So it's not so easy to get energy coming in. Yes, we get it from sleep, but we still have a limited resource of it. We don't have unlimited, but you can't sleep forever and just get more and more energy, right? So the issue with
Right.
energy is not so much getting it, you have it, and now it's how wisely you use that energy. So the key with energy is don't waste it. So that's rule number one of energy management: don't waste it.
What does wasting look like?
We'll get into that in a moment, okay? Because the second point
Okay.
is, right, be sure to invest your energy, not just to spend it. Right. So
Okay.
So what wasting is when you get a poor return on investment. You've seen online, I was talking about ROI and all this, which is ROI just stands for return on investment, right? So if
Okay.
you if you put out energy and you get nothing back in return, that's a waste, no?
Right.
There you go.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that's the key. Don't waste your energy and invest it. So so when you spending your energy, instead of saying, "Oh, I'm doing this, whatever," and I say, "Oh, I'm learning," is learning not always an investment? Now, when you learn to enjoy learning, hallelujah, you're not only using your energy effectively and efficiently and using it for a good purpose, which is joy, but it's also an investment, right? Because your learning is adding to your awareness, which is adds to your appropriateness. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Mm. Association management.
This is a good one. Association management is huge. Again, it's just a management, and you are paying attention to how you associate things. Right? And you're going to manage that, which means you're going to choose deliberately what you associate with what. Okay. So,
This one gets very confusing for me.
association
I get
management.
very confused.
All right. All right.
Uh-huh.
So let's look at a typical association. Okay. Anger, right? For most people, they get for them, anger is associated with irritation and annoyance.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Is this an appropriate association? Okay, let's say
Maybe not.
if I clip my nails, for some people they find that very irritating sound, right? They can't handle somebody else clipping their nails. I don't know how they clip their own nails, but anyway. Okay, just for argument's sake now, right? And you're all irritated with me
Okay.
clipping my nails. Does this justify and warrant you getting angry at me?
I don't think so.
Right. It may do if you've asked me not to do it and I just ignore you. Okay, it's a different issue. But just in general, let's say I have no clue, right? I don't know me clipping my nails is irritating to you. How was I supposed to know? So how can you be angry with me? It's not. It's an inappropriate association. You've associated irritation with anger, right? So in that case, it's an inappropriate
Right.
application of that association, because to you, not you personally now, just somebody, they've associated irritation and anger, and it means the same thing to them. If I'm irritated, it means I must get angry. It's an inappropriate association. So manage it to say, oh, just because I'm irritated doesn't mean I have to get angry. No, I don't have to. So you unhook that association. Now you are free to be irritated and separately be angry as needed, or if not, right? Furthermore, let's go into irritation with association, right? Most people associate irritation with, if somebody is doing something that's irritating to them, they associate that as the person is being irritating. That's not true, is it?
No, they're just doing something.
Exactly. It happens to be irritating for you. Now, they might do something deliberately which they know will irritate you. Then they are being irritating, right? You see what I mean? We have to associations. It's just connected beliefs, if you want for, right? That's what associations are, connected beliefs.
Okay, so
Related.
I think that's what I do when I'm tolerating someone who is not being, um,
Nice.
appropriate when they're
Appropriate.
like,
Yeah.
I associate what they're doing with not them. They're
Yeah. Yeah.
they're just
Exactly.
doing something,
Exactly.
and so I tolerate their behavior.
Right, because it's too much of an awful truth for you to say, well, but they are being deliberate, they are being not nice. You don't want to believe in not nice people. It's an awful truth that you try to avoid, or in the past did, no?
Mm-hmm.
So sorry, but this is the key point in learning and growing. It is the ability to face and deal with the awful truth. That's it. We need to. If we don't do that, we're not going to do this. We're not going to grow.
Yeah. Yeah, I have awful truth in here too.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the awful truth is just something that you don't like, that's not pleasant, that's, not nice. That's it. It's a truth that is unwelcome, awkward, uncomfortable, unpleasant, ugly. You know, they're pretty obvious, these things. Be careful, Elizabeth, of, of falling into the trap that because it's simple and obvious, you think, no, but it can't be. There's got to be more to it. No, they are. They're, for the most part, they're pretty simple. And awful truth is exactly that. It's just awful. It's just not
Okay.
nice. So most of these things are very obvious and very self-evident. Yeah,
Okay.
that's what makes them valuable, right?
If I don't deal with it, I won't learn.
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly. I mean, for take narcissists. Yeah, the awful truth is that, dude,
Yeah.
you're a narcissist. The second awful truth is that you've been pushing this false facade all your life, right? You have a false persona. You're pushing, I'm this, I'm wonderful. It's none of it is real. It's all BS, right? It's false. Yeah, who they pretend to be, which means that the inside it's pretty hollow, because all their lives they've been pushing this false persona. So there's nothing inside. They're hollow inside. Very awful truth. So when it comes to them not being a narcissist, they have to face this awful truth that essentially they have to pick up where they left off when they started being a narcissist, which was like age 2, 3, 4 or whatever. So they have to start at this
Mm.
age and learn the basic stuff that everybody else learned that they didn't learn because they were so busy pushing their facade. They're hollow inside. Take any narcissist and scratch them a little bit, and you see how they are profoundly insecure. That's why they are narcissists, because they're covering up this hollowness. So, when we look at things a little deeper, we see a lot more, right?
Yeah. Okay. shift of being.
Shift of being.
How about?
I don't remember shift of being.
Okay.
Shift of being. Well, it doesn't matter if it's your term, because it's your dictionary of power. So it's not our terms necessarily. But it would be a shift of being. So shifts of being would be more to fit into as a term. As an overall abstract concept, right? Shifts of being. And a shift of being is just when you are able to shift from being, okay, you go from a wedding to a funeral, you shift, okay, that's more of a shift of personality. But shifts of being, it's about appropriateness, right? So I can shift my being to be in that space where, like we said earlier, that I need to get angry to deal with the problem. Got to shift your being like this, yeah?
Oh, I thought it meant being, like your being, like
Yeah.
who you are.
All right, that too.
Not
Right, I'm just
not
saying,
your
yeah. Right, that would be in the moment, but yeah, a shift of being. This would be in exactly what you are undergoing right now. You are shifting your being to connect to your moreness. This is what we're doing in the way of
Yeah.
impeccability. Yeah, I was
Okay.
just saying there's various ranges of it. You can have it on the surface, or you can go a lot deeper to shift your entirety of your being. Yes, which is what you're doing now, but you aren't really learning to be different. No, not really. You're actually learning to be who you've always been. You've always had your moreness. You've always been goodness. You're just learning to be your moreness appropriately. You're just learning to become more aware of your moreness. Like, for instance, you did a lot of messed up things and got into a lot of trouble. Did that make you bad? No. You may have thought so at the time, so I'm an idiot. No, you were never an idiot. You were just inappropriate application of goodness. See?
Yeah, you
So,
said earlier about emptying yourself and getting rid of everything and then adding piece by piece is like that.
Yeah. That's a profound shift of being. Yes, throw everything that you thought is you, throw it out, and then start putting it back. And then choose putting it back very deliberately to say whenever you take something back or you do something, really examine it very carefully and clearly and thoroughly, and say, is this what I really want? Does this really make sense? Can I justify this? Is this fit into my conception and understanding of impeccability? You know,
Yeah, those are big shifts of being. So yeah, that's
So we see that's one of our skills is to see moreness. So most people have moreness to them, but they don't understand a few key things like inappropriate application of goodness, and this prevents them from connecting to their moreness. When you realize you are profoundly good, but but oh, I didn't use my goodness so well. I was a bit inappropriate with my goodness. Yeah, I didn't want to hurt people's feelings. No, that's inappropriate. That's too bad. Sometimes it has to happen. They have to learn. It's like the kid touching the hot stove. They got to learn sometimes by burning their hand. You've told them many times, if you touch the stove, you're going to burn your hand. And they don't believe you. Okay, well, there you go. Now you know. So,
yeah.
hurt feelings are the same way. People have to learn. That's it. Good isn't always nice, right?
Accept without accepting.
Accept without accepting. I like accept without accepting. Okay. So again, we talked about the zebra at the watering hole, right?
Yeah.
Right. Accept without accepting, believing without believing, trusting without trusting, or trust without trusting. All of those are commitment conceptions. Yeah, they all relate to commitment. That's the key point. So if I accept something without accepting, it means, fine, I accept what you're saying, but I'm not going to commit to anything because of it. Simple as that, right?
Okay.
So or you can say all of those are the first part, trusting without accepting, or trusting without commitment, believing without commitment, accepting without commitment. That's what they mean when you say believe without believing. So yeah, on the surface, I'm going
Okay.
with you. I say, wow, Elizabeth, that's fantastic. That you got abducted last night and you spent the night on the mothership up there. Wow, that's fantastic. I have no reason to believe you. It might be true. I have no idea if you tell me this honestly and sincerely. It really might be true. I have no way of knowing, but I accept without accepting. Yeah, it's improbable that it's true, but I can't say for sure. It might be, for all I know. I can't be arrogant to assume that such, preposterous things can't happen because, well, I see preposterousness on TV, every day. Where's an orange hat? you
Yeah.
know, so, so there are preposterous things out in the world, but I accept it without believing. If you say to me, "Oh, come, I'm going to take you to the mothership," let's go on a road trip. I say, no, no, thanks. Because I'm not going to commit to something that has, as far as I'm concerned, a low probability of being true. See, I'm accepting without accepting. So I don't get myself into trouble as a result of it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
think
All
of
right.
when you first met, like, people that ended up in that weren't good relationships, right? Think of that first meeting and you pay attention. If you'd been a bit more accepting without accepting, trusting without trusting, believing without believing, you wouldn't have gotten into half the trouble you did, right? You would have kind of taken it with a grain of salt. You wouldn't have committed to a lot of stuff, yeah?
Yeah.
Would likely have saved a lot of trouble, yeah? You would have been quite a lot more cautious and prudent.
Well, the worst relationship I had was with somebody who I never believed, actually. So that's a whole nother topic, but
Right, but that's exactly my point. You never believed them, yet you got into a relationship,
yeah.
right? But that's the point. You went into a relationship, you committed to a relationship. So there was no accept without accepting. The without part is the commitment part. Don't be committing if you don't believe. But you don't want to be in a situation where you're just suspicious of everybody either, you see.
Uh-huh.
So you kind of give the
Yeah,
benefit of
that's
the doubt
tricky.
until there's proof otherwise. But if every instinct of yours, or like everything you hear, is not believing, you say, well, I'm sorry, but I don't believe anything you're saying, so how can I commit and get into anything with you? It's not the not believing them that's the problem. It was good that you kind of gave a bit of benefit of that and stayed open, but at the same token, if you're not believing, you can't commit either, right? It's about the commitment part that's the issue, not the not believing them. You committed when you didn't believe. How does that make sense?
It was a big problem. Yeah.
Exactly. That's why
Uh,
it was a worst relationship, because you didn't believe anything. You knew they were up to nonsense, and yet you got involved with them anyway. It's the commitment that's the problem.
right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Very, very powerful. Very powerful. So, yeah, yeah.
Well, it's
Question
very
everything, or the
helpful.
BS
Thank
will
you.
take you down. Yeah.
Mm.
It's huge. It makes all the difference. I mean, we don't want to go through life being suspicious of everything. But like I said, with the abduction example, I believe you. I have no reason not to, but I have plenty reason to also disbelieve you. So I'll believe without believing. I'll be polite and believe you, but I'm not going on any road trip with you to go and or stand out in the snow waiting for the mothership to come and pull me down up. Sorry, no. You see, so I believe you, but only so
Mm.
far. Only so far, right?
Mm.
Because I do also disbelieve you for the most part, but I don't want to be rude. I have no reason that I can prove my disbelief, but I have a high probability of that disbelief. So when it comes to high probability versus low probability, well, high probability wins out every time. In the case of your relationship, you disbelieved everything they said, so your probability that they were, full of nonsense was like 99%. Maybe a 1% chance.
Mm.
Well, if you're going to go around making bets 99% when the odds are against you, you're going to lose a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
Same thing in relationships. You were taking a tiny, tiny, tiny chance that against all of your disbeliefs of what they were saying, that, oh no, it's going to somehow miraculously work out that you got it all wrong somehow. Very tiny chance, right? So we have to really look at this thing of trust and trust without trusting, and believe without believing, accept without believing. Look at it in terms of probabilities, right? It cost me nothing to believe you with your abduction story, right? I mean, there's no clear evidence. Now, if you said to me, I was abducted last night, and I spent all of last night with you, I said, no, you weren't. You were with me all night. I was awake while you were sleeping. So, okay, you had a dream. Fine. So I know for a fact you weren't abducted. Okay, right? So that's very rare that is. But if you just said this and there's nothing to disprove it, oh, maybe true. It's a small chance that it's true. So I'm gonna, okay, I'll give you that. It costs me nothing. I'm being polite, right? But I'm not gonna commit to anything. That will cost me something. So look at energy management here, right? I'm not gonna invest energy
Mm.
into this, right? Or invest anything. Never mind, energy. Money is energy, or time. I'm not gonna invest anything into this because it's a small chance that it's true. Same thing, you invested your entire being into somebody who 99% you believe that they were talking nonsense, and it was a 1% chance they weren't. It doesn't make any sense, right? You were being overly good. You had goodness to the extreme. You didn't want to say, no, this dude's full of nonsense. He's just, I don't believe anything he's saying. You didn't want to believe that he was full of nonsense and that he was, up to no good, right? Or whatever the case was with him. That he was preposterous. It's difficult to believe he was preposterous, yeah? I mean, I'm assuming that
Yeah,
was
it was
relationship.
very complicated. Yeah,
It was very complicated, you say?
very, very complicated.
Right, but
Right.
the start of it was pretty simple. You got into a relationship with somebody who you didn't believe. Yeah? And again, why? Because you wanted to believe their goodness. You didn't want to believe that they were not good. Yeah?
Right.
Right. Inappropriate application of goodness. We see this all the time, Elizabeth. People get into relationships for this exact same reason. They want to believe in the goodness. They want to believe the person will change. They want to believe they can fix them, etc., etc., etc. All the usual reasons. Right? And they don't want to believe that somebody can be blatantly manipulative. They don't want to believe that somebody is manipulating themselves. They don't want to believe that they're capable of being manipulated. And they don't want to believe somebody can be that horrid and just kind of messed up and crazy. So it's a problem
Yeah.
for goodness. They don't want to believe that there's not goodness, but hey, it's part of the reality of the world. So to be real, have to be real. Have to be real, yeah. I mean, you've learned being real the hard way, yeah? But don't stop being good, of
Yes.
course. Just because you can see that it is, understand that it is good in the overall picture, as Sid was saying. We need to know for a fact that we can make bad decisions. If we don't have the freedom to make bad decisions, we don't actually have real freedom. If you don't have real freedom to choose, you cannot have real awareness. It's not possible. Yeah?
Right.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
pretty huge, yeah. It's pretty huge. All right, we'll carry on with the Dictionary of Power next week, yeah. Or not next week.
Okay.
What's today? Wednesday on Sunday? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Sunday at 10 again. I like that it's earlier.
Okay.
So, yeah, yeah,
Yes. Good. Me too.
yeah. Good. So,
Okay.
as time goes by, we may even shift the time again, but we'll try and keep it as constant as we can, But just if need be, we'll do it.
Okay.
So very cool. I love it. I love it. I'm really enjoying this.
Okay.
Bina, you got anything to add before Elizabeth goes?
Enjoying your conversation. Thank you. Thank you, Elizabeth, for sharing.
Thank you, Bina.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Very
Thank you.
amazing.
Have a good rest of your week.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Brilliant, brilliant. All right, Elizabeth.
Okay. See you
Yeah.
Sunday.
Yes. I'm looking
Thank
forward to it.
you.
I'm looking
Thanks,
forward to
Phil.
it. But I want to hear more from
Take
you. I don't
care.
want to be talking so much. You make me talk about so much.
Okay.
I want to hear
Okay.
you. I want to hear
Thank
you. No,
you.
I understand. You got me on a roll, and this stuff was there, so it's all good. It's all good. We're having fun. We're sharing stuff, So.
Yeah. I I appreciate it. It's very helpful. And
Oh, my
yeah.
pleasure. Truly my pleasure. So, go over these things and for the terms that we haven't gone over, and even the ones we have. Try your best to write out what they mean to you, even when it's very simple
Okay.
and obvious, because usually it is, oh, but this is like a dir thing. Yeah, write down that dir thing. Yeah. You'll see, they're quite obvious for the
Okay.
most part. They're not as complicated as they seem. They're actually very, very simple, almost all of them. So, but yeah, write out what they mean to you. All right?
Okay.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
Brilliant. All right, blessed.
See you Sunday.
Blessed, Elizabeth. Yes, see you
Bye-bye.
Sunday. See you Sunday. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. See you Sunday.